During the game, we encourage our athletes to go to three main areas. The Achilles tendon region, so right below the calf muscle itself, the patella region around the knee, the IT band region, or the outer lateral part of the leg, into the upper glute region. See, everybody focuses on the muscle, but see the muscle?
Yeah.
It's like Jello. It's full of fluid. It's red. That's why when you burn your tongue or you cut your lip, it heals in a day. It's the connective tissue that needs the hydration. In fact, a lot of the muscle tears happen because we call it an earthquake. The force is not transmitting efficiently through the line, so the muscle takes the hit. And a lot of times it's the viscosity or the loss of it in the connective tissue. So what we do with the athletes is we teach them just to keep things moving. The one thing that happens, you guys take soup and you put it on a stove and you let it sit there, it thickens. But if you take a stirring stick and you move it, the viscosity changes, so it's a lot freer to move within the substance. So that's the whole idea. If an athlete sits here for 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and then they get up and they got to sprint, we know how hard the game of basketball is. So this becomes a very useful tool when they're on the bench. So we go to the white areas. Now, obviously, if you have the time, going through the muscle is not going to hurt it at all, because that's also encased with a connective tissue bundle, but it's just much thinner here than it is down here. So if I have a short period of time, I want to focus on these areas. And what that's going to do is migrate us up to the knee. One thing that Hyperice does well is they have different interfaces. The softer the interface, we don't have to worry about getting close to bones. In fact, we can go right over the bone without injuring the area. Other devices, they pound too hard and you're not able to get close to the bone, which is really critical because this bone right here sits in a sea of tension. And you'll notice how I don't go right into it perpendicular, I go to the side. So all I want to do is stimulate that fluid. You can get a real close shot right there. You see that? That's all fluid. And we want to make sure that stays nice and thin. It doesn't thicken. It doesn't get sticky. Because again, when these muscles contract, if that's sticky, now we have aberrant tension. Too much tension concentrated, and that's what leads to micro tearing. Now with this, you can also add motion. So just slide the leg. So a lot of people will ask us, why don't I just put a heat pack on there? There's nothing wrong with that. That's a great strategy. But we can get the heat with motion with the device, as opposed to just heat. Plus the activity that I'm performing creates a glide. So if I internally contract against an outside force that's placed, we get what's called relative motion. That relative motion allows a more efficient gliding. So all tissues have to work independently, yet they work together as a team when you move globally. But they have independent characteristics. And this will take us right to the side. The same thing, we can just glide the leg and turn it in, turn it out. Now what we like to do for the low back game time is we put a Venom. So Hyperice, the company Hyperice, makes what's called a Venom, which is heat and vibration on a belt system. So the low back is taken care of, because it's a little bit tougher when you're by yourself with the device to put this on your back. I'm just go nice and slow. So even if the athlete does it passively, there's going to be a lot of benefits, but we encourage activity with the device. Now, if needed, we also teach athletes how to do their own shoulders, if needed. Usually in basketball, we're spending more of our time with the lower extremity. But there are cases where, especially a shooter's arm, There could be some soreness, and as we know, basketball can be pretty aggressive. So it's just very, very slow. So the neat thing is there's nowhere in the body you can't go, but from a routine perspective, those are the key areas in the lower extremity.